Imagine looking up at the night sky. But something is terribly wrong. The familiar, comforting glow of the moon is gone. It's not hiding behind clouds. It's not a new moon. It has simply vanished. In its place, there's just an unnerving, empty blackness. This is the first and most immediate change. The night would become profoundly dark, a level of darkness most humans have never experienced. The stars would blaze with an unfamiliar intensity, no longer competing with the moon's gentle light. But this spectacle would be unsettling, a beautiful but terrifying reminder of what we've just lost. The world would feel instantly different, smaller, and more vulnerable in the vast cosmos. This immediate darkness would be more than just a visual change. It would be a deep psychological shock to all of humanity. For thousands of years, we have looked to the moon. It has been our calendar, our guide in the night, the subject of myths, poems, and dreams. Its disappearance would be like losing a fundamental part of our collective consciousness. People would pour into the streets, looking up at the empty space where our celestial companion used to be. Confusion would turn to panic. Scientists would scramble for answers, but the truth would be undeniable and inexplicable. The moon, a constant presence throughout all of human history, is no longer there. In those first few hours, the initial impact would be felt most strongly by our senses and our emotions. The familiar rhythm of the night would be broken. Nocturnal animals, which have evolved for millennia to hunt and navigate by moonlight, would be plunged into a confusing and disorienting blackness. Imagine owls struggling to find their prey, or sea turtles, who rely on the moon's reflection on the water to guide them to the sea, now hopelessly lost on the beach. This isn't just a loss of light. It's the removal of a critical environmental cue that countless species depend on for their very survival. The silent, dark sky would be a harbinger of the chaos to come. The world's observatories and space agencies would be in a state of high alert. Telescopes would point to the empty coordinates, confirming the impossible. The gravitational pull of the moon, while invisible, is a powerful force we constantly feel, and its sudden absence would be registered by sensitive instruments all over the globe. While the most dramatic effects would take a little longer to unfold, scientists would know immediately that we were in deep trouble. They would understand that the disappearance of the moon was not just a celestial curiosity, it was the beginning of a catastrophic chain of events that would unravel the stability of our entire planet, starting with the very oceans that cover its surface. The most dramatic and immediate physical change after the moon's disappearance would happen in our oceans. The moon's gravity is the main force behind the tides, pulling the vast bodies of water on Earth towards it, creating the familiar rise and fall of the sea level. Without the moon, this powerful pull would vanish instantly. The tides as we know them would cease to exist. The sun also has a gravitational effect on the tides, but it is much weaker, less than half as strong as the moon's. So, the oceans would still have small, weak tides, called solar tides, but they would be a mere echo of the powerful lunar tides we are used to. The rhythm of the oceans, a heartbeat that has pulsed for billions of years, would be fundamentally broken. This change would spell disaster for coastal ecosystems everywhere. Think about the intertidal zones, those areas of the coast that are exposed during low tide and submerged during high tide. These zones are incredibly rich in life, home to creatures like crabs, starfish, mussels, and barnacles that have adapted perfectly to this constant cycle. Without the tides, these zones would either be left permanently dry or permanently underwater. Entire ecosystems would be wiped out in a matter of days. The massive exchange of water, nutrients, and organic material between the deep ocean and the coastlines would grind to a halt, essentially starving these vibrant coastal regions and causing a collapse in marine biodiversity. For the millions of people living in coastal communities, the impact would be devastating. Many local economies are built around the tides. Fishing industries, for example, often rely on tidal flows to trap fish or to plan their trips to sea. The sudden change would throw these practices into chaos. Aquaculture farms that cultivate oysters, mussels, and other shellfish would be ruined as the water levels they depend on become static. Even shipping and navigation would be affected, as ports and channels are designed with tidal patterns in mind. The disappearance of the tides would not just be an ecological disaster, it would be an economic and social catastrophe for a huge portion of the world's population. Beyond the coast, the disruption of the tides would affect the entire planet's ocean systems. Tides act like a giant mixing spoon for the oceans. They drive massive ocean currents that circulate water around the globe, distributing heat from the equator towards the poles. This circulation is vital for regulating the world's climate. Without the strong lunar tides to drive this system, ocean currents would weaken and change. Some regions would get much hotter, while others would get much colder. The delicate balance of ocean temperatures and salinity would be thrown off, with unpredictable and far-reaching consequences for global weather patterns and the marine life that depends on stable conditions. The moon does more than just control our tides and light up our night. It plays a crucial, hidden role as our planet's stabilizer. Earth spins on an axis, and this axis is tilted at about 23.5 degrees. This tilt is what gives us our seasons. As Earth orbits the sun, different parts of the planet get more direct sunlight at different times of the year. The moon's gravity acts like a steadying hand, holding this tilt in place and preventing it from wobbling wildly. Without the moon, this stabilizing force would be gone. Our planet's axis would begin to drift. It wouldn't happen overnight, but over thousands of years, the tilt could swing dramatically. This loss of stability would lead to extreme and unpredictable climate change. Imagine a world where the axial tilt shifts from its current 23.5 degrees to, say, 45 degrees, or even 90 degrees. A planet tilted on its side would experience seasons of unimaginable severity. The North Pole, instead of being a place of ice and snow, could be pointing directly at the sun for months on end, turning it into a hot, desert-like region. Meanwhile, other parts of the world would be plunged into decades-long winters of extreme cold and darkness. The concepts of temperate, tropical, and polar zones would lose all meaning. The planet's climate would become a chaotic mess of extremes, making it impossible for most life, including us, to survive. Our current, relatively stable climate is a precious gift, and we would quickly learn that the moon was largely responsible for it. The predictable cycle of spring, summer, autumn, and winter would become a thing of the past. Agriculture would completely collapse. How can you plant crops when you don't know if the next season will be a scorching heat wave that lasts for years or a sudden ice age? The entire infrastructure of our civilization is built on the assumption of a stable climate. The disappearance of the moon would pull the rug out from under us, demonstrating that our world is far more fragile and interconnected than we ever realized. Scientists believe that Mars experienced this exact fate. Mars has two very small moons, Phobos and Deimos, which are too tiny to stabilize its rotation. As a result, the tilt of Mars has wobbled chaotically over millions of years, leading to dramatic shifts in its climate that may have contributed to the loss of its water and atmosphere. Without our large moon, Earth would likely follow a similar path. We would be living on a planetary spinning top that is slowly losing its balance. The long-term consequence of losing our lunar anchor would be the transformation of our blue living world into a barren and hostile planet, incapable of supporting the complex life it once nurtured. Então, olha só, a queda imediata na escuridão teria um impacto profundo no reino animal. Muitos predadores, como leões e lobos, se adaptaram para caçar sob o brilho suave do luar. Os olhos deles são feitos para captar essa luz fraquinha, o que dá uma vantagem sobre as presas. Em um mundo sem lua, os territórios de caça deles ficariam totalmente escuros, tipo Um breu mesmo. Isso tornaria muito mais difícil encontrar alimento, podendo levar à fome e à queda nas populações desses animais. Agora, do outro lado, as presas, que usam a escuridão para se esconder, iam se ver num escuro ainda mais absoluto. Mas, sabe, todo o equilíbrio entre predador e presa, essa dança coreografada pela luz da lua, seria jogada no caos. E essa confusão não ficaria só nisso, não. Ia afetar um monte de outras espécies também. Por exemplo, pensa no fenômeno de reprodução em massa dos corais, como acontece na Grande Barreira de Corais. Esse evento incrível da natureza, onde recifes inteiros liberam ovos e espermatozoides ao mesmo tempo, é sincronizado pelas fases da Lua. Sem essas dicas lunares, o ciclo reprodutivo dos corais seria quebrado, ameaçando o futuro desses ecossistemas tão importantes e já em perigo. Pássaros migratórios, muitos dos quais navegam à noite usando a lua e as estrelas como bússola, ficariam completamente perdidos. A teia intrincada da vida, cheia de conexões com o ciclo lunar, começaria a se desfazer fio por fio. E olha, nós, humanos, também não ficaríamos imunes aos efeitos dessa escuridão constante. Nossa própria biologia está ligada aos ciclos de luz e sombra. Mesmo com luzes artificiais, a ausência da lua seria um choque psicológico. Nosso senso de tempo e nossos ciclos naturais de sono e vigília, conhecidos como ritmos circadianos, poderiam ser bagunçados. Durante milênios, a lua cheia foi associada no folclore e na cultura a mudanças no comportamento humano, o que às vezes chamam de efeito lunar. Isso é debatido cientificamente, mas a ligação cultural e psicológica é inegável. Perder a lua seria como perder um pedaço da nossa própria identidade, um espelho celeste que reflete nossas esperanças, medos e histórias desde que somos humanos. A escuridão mudaria nossa relação com a noite. As cidades teriam que aumentar muito a iluminação artificial, o que levaria a mais consumo de energia e poluição luminosa, escondendo ainda mais as estrelas. Já nas áreas rurais, a noite seria realmente profunda, algo que pode ser tanto lindo quanto assustador. A sensação de segurança que a luz suave da lua traz iria sumir para sempre. Ficaríamos com um céu meio vazio, um lembrete constante e arrepiante do equilíbrio cósmico que perdemos. A noite deixaria de ser um tempo de mistério e romance, virando símbolo da nossa nova solidão planetária no universo. Agora, em uma escala de tempo muito maior, outro aspecto fundamental do nosso planeta começaria a mudar: a duração do nosso dia. Hoje, a gravidade da Lua puxa a Terra, criando um pequeno inchaço no planeta e nos oceanos. Conforme a Terra gira, esse inchaço cria um atrito que, bem devagar mesmo, atua como um freio na rotação do planeta. É por causa disso que, ao longo de bilhões de anos, os dias da Terra têm ficado mais longos. Quando a Terra era jovem, um dia podia ter só 6 horas. A Lua vem aos poucos nos desacelerando. Sem esse freio gravitacional da Lua, esse efeito de desaceleração simplesmente desapareceria. A rotação da Terra começaria a acelerar, mesmo que bem pouquinho no início, quase imperceptível numa vida humana. Mas ao longo do tempo geológico, as consequências seriam enormes. Milênios depois do sumiço da Lua, os dias ficariam mais curtos. Em vez de 24 horas, um dia poderia durar 20, depois 15, e quem sabe, só 8 ou 10 horas. Isso mudaria radicalmente o planeta. O clima se tornaria muito mais extremo. Um planeta girando mais rápido criaria ventos ferozes, muito mais fortes do que qualquer furacão que já vimos. A atmosfera seria agitada num frenesi constante e violento, tornando difícil para qualquer vida complexa sobreviver na superfície. A rotação mais rápida também mudaria o formato do planeta. A força centrífuga no Equador aumentaria, fazendo a Terra inchar ainda mais no meio. Isso faria o nível do mar subir dramaticamente no Equador, inundando grandes regiões costeiras, enquanto a água seria puxada para longe dos polos. A geografia do planeta seria redesenhada. Esse novo mundo acelerado seria um lugar de ventos incessantes e mudanças geográficas catastróficas. O mundo estável e previsível que conhecemos deixaria de existir, dando lugar a um ambiente dinâmico e hostil. A lembrança de um dia de 24 horas e de brisas suaves seria só uma lenda distante de uma era perdida de estabilidade. No fim das contas, o desaparecimento repentino da Lua nos daria uma lição de humildade cósmica. A gente costuma achar que a Terra é um mundo resistente, independente, mas sua estabilidade depende profundamente desse parceiro celeste. A Lua não é só um enfeite bonito no céu. Ela é parte essencial da engrenagem que faz a vida na Terra ser possível. Ela é nosso âncora, nosso relógio, nosso metrônomo. A falta dela desencadearia uma cascata de desastres, desde o caos imediato nos oceanos até a lenta descida para uma turbulência climática e geológica. Ficaríamos em um planeta solitário, oscilante e varrido por ventos, um lembrete claro de que nossa existência depende de um equilíbrio delicado, que muitas vezes a gente